Acropolis was the settlement of an upper part of an ancient Greek city, especially a citadel, and frequently a hill with precipitous sides, mainly chosen for purposes of defense. The term is typically used to refer to the Acropolis of Athens. Hi everyone, welcome back into my channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. In today's video we are going to learn the history of Acropolis of Athens. Acropolises were used as religious centers and places of worship, forts, and places in which the royal and high status resided in. Acropolises became the nuclei of large cities of classical ancient times and served as important centers of a community. They were known as prominent landmarks in modern cities with ancient pasts, such as modern-day Athens. Some well-known acropolises have become the centers of tourism in present day, and, especially, the Acropolis of Athens has been a revolutionary center for the studies of ancient Greece since the Mycenaean period. An acropolis is defined by the Greek definition, akron, meaning highest, also commonly as Acropolis and Acropolis in Greek. The word was first used in the 14th century BCE, in the context of Mycenaean kings and community. The term Acropolis is also used to describe the central complex of overlapping structures, such as plazas and pyramids, in many Maya cities, including Tikal and Copan. Acropolis is also the term used by archaeologists and historians for the urban Castro culture settlements located in northwestern Iberian hilltops. The Acropolis of a city was used in many ways, with regards to ancient time and through references. Because an acropolis was built at the highest part of a city, it served as a highly functional form of protection, a fortress, as well as being a home to the royal of a city, and a center for religion through the worshipping of different gods. 1. There have been many classical and ancient acropolises, including the most commonly known, Acropolis of Athens, as well as the Tepesh Acropolis at Patara, Ankara Acropolis, Acropolis of La Blanca, Acropolis at the Maya site in Guatemala, and the Acropolis at Haliais. The most famous example is the Athenian Acropolis, which is a collection of structures featuring a citadel on the highest part of land in ancient, and modern-day, Athens, Greece. Many notable structures at this site were constructed in the 5th century BCE, including Number 1. Propolia. In ancient Greek architecture, a propolia or propolia. The prototypical Greek example is the propolia that serves as the entrance to the Acropolis of Athens. The Greek Revival Brandenburg Gate of Berlin and the propolia in Munich both evoke the central portion of the Athens propolia. Number 2. Erechtheion. The Erechtheion or Temple of Athena Polias is on the north side of the Acropolis, Athens, which was primarily dedicated to the goddess Athena. The building, made to house the statue of Athena Polias, has in modern scholarship been called the Erechtheion, the sanctuary of Erechtheus or Poseidon, in the belief that Pausanias' description of the Erechtheion applies to this building. The Erechtheion is unique in the corpus of Greek temples in that its asymmetrical composition doesn't conform to the canon of Greek classical architecture. This is attributed either to the irregularity of the site. The classical Erechtheion is the last in a series of buildings approximately on the mid-north side of the Acropolis Plateau, the earliest of which dates back to the late Bronze Age Mycenaean period. The archaeology under the Erechtheion is also poorly evidenced for the Archaic and early Classical periods. Despite this, a number of proposals have been made for a structure on the site immediately before the Persian destruction. Orlando's reconstructs an obliquely orientated hexastyle amphiprostyle temple, which would have contained the trident marks in its pronaos. Others restore a number of temeni adjacent to the temple of Athena Polias or a tetrastyle naskos. The subsequent history of the building has been one of damage, restoration and change of use, which complicates the task of reconstructing the original structure. The first recorded fire that the classical building suffered was perhaps 377/6. A second more severe fire took hold sometime in 1st century BC. The Tepesh Acropolis at Patara served as a harbor to nearby communities and naval forces, such as Antigonos I, Monophthalmus and Demetrios Poliorkets, and combined land and sea. The notion that the autochthonic origins of Aten were illustrated on the Erytheian frieze was first proposed by Ludwig Pallet. The Erytheian was built to house a diverse collection of religious objects, something of a museum of curiosities in that regard. The Acropolis of La Blanca was created in Guatemala as a small, ancient Maya settlement and archaeological site that is located adjacent to the Salsipuades River. This Acropolis developed as a place of residence for the city of La Blanca's rulers. Its main period of usage was during the classical period of 600 AD to 850 AD, as the city developed as a commercial place of trade among a number of nearby settlements. The Mayan Acropolis site in Guatemala included a burial site and vaulted tombs of the highest status royal. Archaic Greece was the period in Greek history lasting from circa 800 BC to the Second Persian invasion of Greece in 480 BC, following the Greek Dark Ages and succeeded by the Classical period. In the Archaic period, Greeks settled across the Mediterranean and the Black Seas, as far as Marseille in the west and Trapezus, Trebizond, in the east, and by the end of the Archaic period, they were part of a trade network that spanned the entire Mediterranean. The Greek Dark Ages is the period of Greek history from the end of the Mycenaean palatial civilization around 1100 BC to the beginning of the Archaic Age around 750 BC. The archaeological evidence shows a widespread collapse of Bronze Age civilization in the eastern Mediterranean world at the outset of the period, as the great palaces and cities of the Mycenaeans were destroyed or abandoned. At about the same time, the Hittite civilization suffered serious disruption as cities from Troy to Gaza were destroyed. In Egypt, the New Kingdom fell into disarray that led to the Third Intermediate Period of Egypt. Following the collapse, fewer, smaller settlements suggest extensive famine and depopulation. In Greece, the linear bewriting of the Greek language used by Mycenaean bureaucrats ceased and the Greek alphabet would not develop until the beginning of the Archaic period. The decoration on Greek pottery after about 1100 BC lacks the figurative decoration of Mycenaean ware and is restricted to simpler, generally geometric styles, 1000 to 700 BC. It was previously thought that all contact was lost between mainland Hellenes and foreign powers during this period, yielding little cultural progress or growth. But archaeologist Alex Noddle considers that artifacts from excavations at Lefkondi on the Lelantine Plain in Euboea in the 1980s revealed that some parts of Greece were much wealthier and more widely connected than traditionally thought, as a monumental building and its adjacent cemetery showed connections to Cyprus, Egypt, and the Levant as markers of elite status and authority, much as they had been in previous periods. This Acropolis was the highest point of fortification on the south edge at Haliais. There was a small open-air cult space, including an altar and monuments. The Ankara Acropolis, which was set in modern-day Turkey, is a historically prominent space that has changed over time through the urban development of the country Turkey from the Phrygian period. This Acropolis was well known as a spot for holy worshipping and was symbolic of the time. It has also been a place that has historically recognized the legislative changes that Turkey has faced. Acropolises today have become the epicenters of tourism and attraction sites in many modern-day Greek cities. The Athenian Acropolis, in particular, is the most famous, and has the best vantage point in Athens, Greece. Today, tourists can purchase tickets to visit the Athenian Acropolis, including walking, sightseeing, and bus tours, as well as a classic Greek dinner.